Yeah.
What you're telling me is that Florida, with the help of Steve Spurrier,
Yes.
is not going to beat the Tennessee Volunteers.
No, ma'am.
Okay, welcome to Campus Pressbox, episode number 53. I am Damien Bowman, joined by Mr. Bird LaCroix, stopping in from the wonderful SEC 401. Bird, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you, Damien.
What's going on in beautiful, Ackworth, Georgia?
Beautiful Ackworth, Georgia. It's hot, as usual. It's always 90 plus and humidity 60 or 70%. And if you go outside, you're going to sweat. So be it. But we're doing well. We're doing well.
Okay. You're well today, but you were not well yesterday. Talk to me about Javon Robinson.
Well, it started, as far as football goes and all of that good stuff, at Auburn in particular. Yeah, Javon Robinson, who was a potential all-star, potential all-SEC for sure, was dismissed from the team. And he was, of course, was supposed to be our bell cow and get the bulk of the carries this year. He is a beast, but he signed with Auburn many years ago out of Memphis and had to go the junior college route and to get his grades up, and that continued to be an issue, evidently, that and attending class and being late for meetings. And I think Gus was wise in nipping it in the bud, as Barney Fife used to say, and he said, we're not going to have any distractions this year. The Duke Williams thing was a big learning process for Gus, evidently. And he just went ahead and cut it out, and we'll go from there. But I think this will actually continue to help team chemistry, and we'll do running back by committee, and we got some good ones.
So Robinson was hoping to become the first 1,000-yard rusher for Auburn since 2009, I believe I read.
Oh, since last year. Gus has had one every year.
Oh, well, then why does
Peyton Barber was our 1,000-yard rusher last year, and he went early. He had some family problems. He said that he needed to help his family and go pro. It was premature, but he did it. And he was our 1,000-yard rusher last year. And Javon rushed for 600 and something. Once he started playing regularly and he got his attitude right, supposedly, last year, he got the bulk of the carries and rushed for about 639 yards and was the MVP in the Birmingham Bowl. But his attitude has just always been in question, as his work ethic. And now I see today on Saturdays down south, he's blasting back at Auburn. So goody.
All right, so let's break this down a little bit here. Is this all about attitude and work ethic and not showing up to class, or is there an underlying issue that we probably don't know about yet?
I think that's it. I think there was a rumor of an altercation with a player. And if you'll remember, Duke Williams had an anger problem, and he let get the best of him several times. Wound up breaking the jaw of one of our backup center last year in a bar fight. And the guy was trying to help him out, pull him off and saying, let's get out of here. And Duke hit him, broke his jaw, and he didn't play anymore.
Okay, so what's this do for the prospects for Auburn in 2016?
Well, I've got them coming back to have a great season. Somewhat like they did, not quite as good as 2013 when they played for the national championship. But I think Gus has really taken this thing to heart, and he's all in, and he's hands on, and he's learning, and he's doing the right thing. And I still think Auburn is going to unite and play with a great hunger and do very well, actually.
Okay, so in your article, which we're going to talk about the rest of, that you wrote today, you have Auburn listed as third at 10-2 and 6-2 in the conference. Do you still believe that that's where they'll finish, or do you believe it'll be lower or higher or whatever based on this information that we have now?
I think that is the cap for this team, and I think they will reach their full potential. I do 3 record predictions every year, and that would be anywhere from 8-4, 9-3, 10-2. I think that's what the team can achieve, and I'm picking them to peak out at the 10-2 with a big upset of LSU in September to propel them into the late season. I have them losing to Alabama and at Ole Miss. But LSU comes to Jordan-Hare at night. Well, no, we don't know yet at night. Clemson's at night. But LSU's coming to Jordan-Hare, and I just think we're going to be ready for that and pin the only loss on LSU that they will have this season.
Okay, you're an optimistic guy here.
Very optimistic. I have taken that route this year. This summer I didn't until it started for real, and I just started feeling good vibes from what I was hearing down on the plains, and I just think it's going to be a very, very good year.
Well, I think you were pretty optimistic last year also. I mean,
Well,
if we go back and
everybody
listen
was.
to,
Yeah, Auburn was picked to win by the media at SEC Media Days to win the West. And then, of course, nobody realized that when Jeremy Johnson took the first snap, he was like a deer in the headlights and just couldn't get it done between the ears. And too bad, because he has all-world talent.
Okay, Alabama and LSU, I assume they play at LSU. Is that why you have LSU?
They play at Baton Rouge. That's the big game. Yep. And I've got LSU winning that game this year. I think they will rediscover the forward pass. I think Brandon Harris in his third year the lights will come on for him, and that Leonard Fournette will win the Heisman, and that LSU will win the West and the SEC.
Okay, that's huge, obviously.
Huge. It's their year.
What happens if they don't beat Alabama, and what happens to Les Miles at this point?
Well, I think they're going to have a big enough year that Les is going to be okay. But again, they haven't beaten Alabama since the BCS National Championship game in 2011, would be 2012 following the 11 season. And that's so obviously the natives, the Cajuns, are getting restless down there. And last year, the coup did not work. And so I think Les is going to do much as Tommy Tuberville did in 2004 and come out firing. Tuberville almost got fired in 2003 because we were picked by many to win the SEC, and we went 7-5. But everybody rallied behind him in 2004, and of course we went undefeated. Should have played for the national championship, and I think that's going to play out in a similar fashion for Les. We will see.
Who's your sleeper in the West?
Sleeper in the West. I was going to say back earlier in the summer I was looking at A&M, but I think the wheels have come off and Sumlin's days are numbered. And the latest fiasco, being this assistant coach's chalk talk for the ladies deal, and I think it's just gone too far south for them. So I'm going to go. If I have to eliminate, I'll have to pick Auburn as a sleeper.
What about Arkansas?
Arkansas, I think they lost too much with their 4-year starter in Brandon Allen. His brother Austin Allen is in, but they lost two great running backs, in Jonathan Williams and I think that's his name, and Alex Collins, and they lost some. They have to replace one entire line, and they lost some really big defenders on defense too. Even though I think the defense will be good, it's going to take them a while to get their sea legs under them this year, and I think they'll do the same as last year, 8-4 and 5-3 in the SEC. They'll be good. They'll pull a big upset.
Who's that upset?
That upset could be Alabama. I'm not picking it yet, but when the time comes, maybe. It could be Alabama. They have them in Fayetteville. Could be LSU. They've had LSU's number the last 3 years. But I don't know. They're going to knock somebody out of it for sure. I feel that way.
Okay, let's talk about the East for a second here. Yeah. It appears as though you're on the Tennessee bandwagon. I'm
all in. I'm all in. 12-0, but losing the SEC championship game.
12-0.
12-0. They're going to run the gauntlet. And the big win, of course, coming the third Saturday in October in Knoxville when they play the University of Alabama. I think Alabama loses to Tennessee and to LSU and goes 10-2.
You understand Tennessee's going to play Florida, right? I mean, I don't know if this is I don't know if you looked at the schedule all the way through, or if you just kind of skipped that part.
What are they, 0-12?
Yeah. 13 or whatever. I don't know.
Well, at some point the numbers have to play out, don't they? I mean,
they do.
I don't know if I think McElwain. I think he's really rebuilding. I think they caught lightning in a bottle the first few games, but then Will Greer was gone, and so they plummeted. And they're going to have to. It's a work in progress in Florida. They'll have a good defense and a mediocre offense, but I got them third in the division. But I think Tennessee will finally beat them. They got them in.
So what you're okay? I just want to get this straight and clean here.
Yes, sir.
So that later in this season I can play this back from you.
Yeah.
What you're telling me is that Florida, with the help of Steve Spurrier, is not going to beat the Tennessee Volunteers.
No, ma'am. This is Tennessee's year. Tennessee is going to run through the schedule unscathed, and they will finally get that elusive win over the Gators. It's got to happen.
And they're going to beat Virginia Tech also.
No, they're going to beat Virginia Tech in front of the largest crowd in college football history, the Bristol Motor Speedway.
Okay.
They'll do that. And I like, of course, the guy, was it Fuente coming from Memphis to Virginia Tech. He'll get them back on the map, but it's going to take a couple of years.
Okay, I'm sort of a closet Tennessee fan. Like I used to go to a game every other year, and I know Rocky Top, and I got a couple items that are orange, and all this other stuff. But I for whatever reason, I don't think Tennessee is going to beat Georgia. I don't know where that game is, but I think that's where they stumble.
Yeah, that's as far as we're on Tennessee and the University of Georgia, and that game will be played in Athens. And Kirby Smart, it'll be on October 1st, so he will have had the month of September to try to get his guys going down in Athens between the hedges. And that should be epic. But I've got Tennessee pulling it out in a close one.
All right, who's the sleeper in the East?
The sleeper in the East. Well, Kentucky's not a sleeper to win it, but I've got them having a winning record at 7-5, and for Stoops finally breaking through and getting them to a bowl game. They'll be interesting to watch. I've got them tying Florida, actually, in record 7-5 and 5-3. But as far as a sleeper to win it, that would pretty much have to be the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna disagree with you all around the board here. Obviously, I'm gonna take Alabama in the West and Georgia in the East.
A smart man will do that. I'm a little tense right now.
A betting man, right?
A betting. Yeah, if you're a gambling man, it's hard to go wrong on Bama.
Correct. And as much as it pains me, I would say Alabama's road back to the playoff and conversely the national championship begins and ends with the quarterback.
Yep, all he's got to do is be serviceable, just like Coker was much more than serviceable, as was Sims, really. But, yeah, he's got to get the job done.
But that said, for whatever reason, if it were going to happen, and it's not, but I'm a man who, lives on hope and dreams and all that other stuff that people always talk about, American dream and all that other nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
If it's Alabama and Georgia in the Georgia Dome, I'm going to take Georgia, just to be different. Right now, on August 4th, 2016, I'm taking Georgia over Alabama in the Georgia Dome. They don't play each other in the regular season, correct?
They do not. They played last year, but that you don't do that rotation anymore, home and home. You just pick one up, like we pick up Vanderbilt out of the East this year, thank goodness, and at home. And
they still play football at Vanderbilt?
Evidently they do. And Derek Mason has actually done a great job with the defense, but they've just got to free that offense up a little bit, get a quarterback, and they got a great running back in Ralph Webb. But anyway, Georgia, going back to Georgia, that's a bold pick, my friend.
Yeah. Well,
and Kirby Smart, great storyline. Kirby Smart versus Nick Saban, huh?
I think that's what CBS would like to see. I don't think I don't think that it's impossible for it to happen, obviously, but obviously they have to beat almost everybody, and I think that they can trip up Tennessee.
Yeah, the SEC champion could have a couple of losses this year. I mean, it's very
right. Now, if the SEC champion with a couple losses gets into the playoff or not, that's a different conversation for December and January. I mean, obviously everybody would say they would, but it's August, so who knows?
They could also get 2 in. Hey, be optimistic. Huh?
Okay, here's the sidebar that I did not plan on, but we will have this conversation.
All right.
Do you think that there's any chance in the current format that the playoff committee puts 2 teams from the same conference into the playoff?
Gosh, there's so many factors. Yes is the short answer, but there are just so many factors to go in it. Like if you had a 12-0 Tennessee that lost to an 11-1 LSU, as I have it going, then you would have both teams at 12-1, and it's the SEC, and you got to think that whoever represents other conferences is going to have a loss. Maybe not. So then you've really got something. Could you have the number 1 and 2 teams in the country being LSU and Tennessee?
Okay, let's play this out. Okay, let's play this out. Okay, I'll give you LSU, Tennessee, but you have to give me Ohio State, Clemson, and pick your team from the Pac East or the Pac-12.
The Pac-12 is golly, that's
but it doesn't matter.
I got my sleeper, Washington, the Washington Cougars.
Okay, fine, Washington, right? So you have undefeated or 1-loss teams from 4 of the 5 Power 5 conferences. You can throw an OU if you want. You can replace OU with Washington if you want. I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But what you're telling me is that the committee is going to put Tennessee and LSU into the playoff and leave home potentially Ohio State, Oklahoma, Clemson, or Washington. That's what you're telling me.
Well, in order for that to happen, they're probably going to have a couple of losses.
Okay, 2 losses. Figure Ohio State has 2 losses. You're telling me they're going to leave Ohio State home to bring in Tennessee and LSU.
Yeah. with 2
Okay,
losses.
you are wearing your Homer hat today.
Oh,
obviously.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I am all in right now. But I expect, actually, you said Clemson. I expect Florida State to win the ACC.
Oh, but okay. My point is, it doesn't matter who the team is.
Doesn't matter.
I just don't see a scenario in which they're going to leave a Power 5 team from a conference who has one loss either in the championship or a very close game, or has just as many losses as the second place team in a conference, i.e. LSU or Michigan State or whomever,
right?
And to leave a conference champion at home to bring a second team in. And it's not just restricted to the SEC. Like, there's no way they're going to bring Ohio State and Michigan State in and leave Alabama at home or LSU at home. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. Yeah. Everybody goes, oh, it could happen. I don't think so. Like, I think we had the rematch of LSU and Alabama, playoff, and then or the BCS, the rematch of the regular season game.
God, yeah.
I think that was a fluke. Yeah. Like, I think that they got so much crap from that, and both those games were so terrible that they wouldn't do that in 2016 or 2018 or 2020 or 2025. Now, when they expand it to 8 teams or 6 teams, sure, absolutely. Sure. But right now, I can't see it.
Well, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear, too. But the committee has emphatically stated that we will take the 4 best teams.
Yeah, but they don't.
Also, how much is conference, now refresh my memory on how much is conference champion taken into account? How much weight does that carry?
It lends some weight, which is the argument that I was making a few weeks ago about why Notre Dame should just shut up and join the ACC and go with it.
Yes.
That was my whole point. So that goes further to the point that says you're going to leave a conference champion at home to take a team that just lost to the conference champion and put them on the other side of the bracket so they can play each other in the championship game?
Well, there you are.
Yeah, but that's not.
Yeah. We're going to. I would love to see it. I would love to see what would happen, and I can understand your point of view, and it makes perfect sense. But I want to put those guys to the test in putting the 4 best teams on the field. And
I think if the differentiation between the 2 best SEC teams and the number 4 team in the country is that much, then yes. But if we are just talking about straight up head to head, then no, right? I mean, we could always, and this is what I say, and I understand Ohio State won the national championship. Yeah. But you cannot tell me, if we go back to the last game of the season, championship games, all the other stuff, with the year that Ohio State won the national championship, that Ohio State was one of the best 4 teams when they went into the playoff. Now, they had that loss early, and they played very well. And I was the only person in the world who said Ohio State, if they went out, they're going to make the playoff. And everybody else told me I was crazy.
Yeah, you were.
Right. But I think if you look at that last week of the season, right, and I know who lost. Baylor lost to Oklahoma State or whatever it was.
Oh, it was some crazy.
It was crazy, right? But we're going to say that those 4 teams that were in that playoff the very first year were the best 4 teams in college football. That's what we're going to say. Now, obviously, we're 2 years removed, so we can say, of course they were. Ohio State won the national championship. I understand that. I watched it. Trust me. I live in Ohio. I hear about it every day.
FSU was questionable that year. Yes.
Correct. That's a
big deal. They showed it when they played Oregon too.
Right. They were absolutely atrocious.
They were begging. I don't know why somebody didn't beat them.
Correct. And that's my point.
They were just, and that was the year you wouldn't watch FSU anymore, right?
Right. I didn't watch because I knew they were going to win every game, and they did. And I still don't know what happened to them that year. I don't know how they won any of those games, but I didn't watch a single game because I knew the outcome.
Yeah, you did.
The same thing. And that's my point is they are not already putting the best 4 teams in college football into the playoff because they took Florida State and they took Ohio State. Right? I mean, and I understand Ohio State beat Wisconsin by 1,000, so that puts them clearly over Florida State, but they threw all that out the window when they put Florida State in. And Florida State barely won the ACC championship that year.
And that was the ACC, which wasn't overly powerful that year. I mean, Clemson and Florida State had very good football teams, but neither one of them were capable of winning the national championship.
Right. This is my point is, if we're going to put the best 4 teams in college football in, then put the best 4 teams in. It doesn't matter what their conference is. And as far as that goes, I agree with you 100%. But if that's the case, then don't factor in the conference championship games because the better team might lose that game. I think that the committee should say, we're going to put the best 4 teams in college football, no matter who they are, where they come from. Right? And then drop the conference championship thing. Because if that happens, then I don't have to see the Big 12 try to put together this bullshit thing, right? This BS conference game between two teams that have already played each other, right? And then they split the series, and then who do you take?
Yeah, then who do you take?
Right. Or like the Big Ten, and right, and you think whatever you want about the Big Ten, but I mean, if Ohio State's really good and Michigan State's really good, well, they're only going to play each other once.
Yeah.
Right, and then the other one's going to go to the conference championship game and beat the doors off of Iowa or whomever else from the West, Minnesota. I don't even know who played Purdue. I don't know.
Iowa's my sleeper in the Big Ten.
You're crazy. Are you what?
They're my sleeper.
They're going to win 10 games this year. They're going to lose 2 games. They're going to lose to Ohio State.
But
they're going to lose to Wisconsin.
If you got to pick, I don't think you can't pick Michigan because everybody's in love with Michigan right now. That's trendy. That's a sexy pick.
Why?
What's Ohio State's? Well, everybody's. Somebody had Michigan number 1, didn't they? I mean,
okay. Okay.
But Iowa.
We're talking about this in our Slack chat room the other day, right? What? We're talking about this Michigan and because they unveiled their new uniforms. Here's what I don't. Here's. I have 2 problems with this. One, why would Michael Jordan let Nike put Jumpman on a football uniform?
That's the question. Thank you for asking that. I didn't, I read the article, okay, whatever, but didn't, dwell on it very long. That's an excellent question, and I have and that was a mystery to me when I read this. But what's my first thought was, well, that's Michael Jordan doing his famed air dunk thing, and
right.
What's that got to do with Jim Harbaugh in Michigan?
Correct, right. And the second thing is if he's going to put Jumpman on a football uniform, wouldn't it be North Carolina?
That's what I thought.
I mean, I understand that. What's that guy's name with the fancy hat or fedora or whatever that guy's name is at North Carolina? Is that his name? Larry Fedora? Is he at North Carolina? I don't even know who their coach is.
Yeah, the football coach.
Yeah. I understand North Carolina is not great. I got it. And Michael's, kind of coming back to North Carolina and doing his thing and, basketball and supporting the program, being public and all that. I got it. What's the Michigan connection? Like, I understand that one of Harbaugh's kids said, wouldn't it be cool if we could do that? And then the kid called Jordan, and then this is kind of where it came from. But like, when I think Jumpman, I think basketball.
Basketball. And it's on a football uniform.
That's not North Carolina.
That's not North Carolina.
Right? If it were North Carolina, I'd be fine. I would have no question, right? It's North Carolina, Michael Jordan. I got the connection is obvious.
What if they put Charles Barkley on the University of Alabama?
Well, that would be hilarious.
Charles wouldn't have any part of it. But that's a poor example. But I'm just saying, Charles Barkley or whoever, well, that's our highest profile basketball player ever, even though Chuck Person was probably our best ever. But it's silly. Not even Alabama, say he wound up on
whoever. Georgia. It doesn't matter.
Oh, he played at Philly. I mean, whatever. I don't know.
But okay, so here's the other part of this. And Mitch and I kind of got into this. He and I are going to podcast next week, and this is going to be the topic, really.
Yeah.
The Harbaugh effect, right? Everybody says this is the Harbaugh effect. And everybody's trying to tell me that Michigan would still be with Adidas if Harbaugh had not come back. And I completely disagree.
Yeah.
I think that Nike wanted Michigan because I think Michigan is one of the top 5 brands in the country.
They're trending.
But I'm saying that people wrap so much into football, right, as far as college athletics, but forget that how good of a brand Michigan is outside of just football. People attach dollars and all this other stuff, but I mean, obviously Michigan is one of the best academic institutions in the
great school. Yeah.
Right. I mean, how many presidents have come from the University of Michigan? Probably 3.
Is that? I didn't know.
Yeah, Ford and
Gerald Ford played football. Yeah,
Ford played football, and then there was another one there's 2 more. I'll put them in the notes that I can't think of. And the law schools, top 5 in the country and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
but I think that Adidas, that the Adidas era at Nike or at Michigan was so bad for athletics, right? Yeah. The football team was terrible. The basketball team was very average. The Olympic sports were very average. And a lot of the Michigan people attribute that to, and it's false, it's a lie, to being in Adidas uniforms, that all those people wanted out of Adidas so bad that they would take whoever they took, and Nike gave them the most money. Now, I'm not saying they didn't get an extra $30 million because of Jim Harbaugh. I absolutely think that was true, but Michigan was going back to Nike no matter what. That's what I think.
Yeah, the whole outfit, Under Armour, Adidas, Nike, and all that. People have been saying for years at Auburn, we can't win basketball games because we don't have Nike and AAU. Well, Bruce Pearl comes in, has got the number 1 recruiting class in the country right now, and we're still Under Armour. We're not Nike, but Bruce Pearl's going to win. and it's going to start this year. But
right.
It's not to do with Nike, and it's not necessarily to do with AAU.
Right, but that's the other part of it. Like you still have to win something. Like everybody's telling me that Michigan's the number one team. Last I checked, Ohio State was the best team in the Big Ten, and nobody else is even really close. Like Iowa had a good year, and Michigan State's done really well. But I mean, Michigan won 10 games last year?
Yeah, they lost. Well, who did they? Yeah, they lost 2.
They lost to Michigan State and they lost to Ohio State in a regular season. Right.
And I think
they beat somebody in the bowl game.
Michigan State this year, but I think they'll lose to Ohio State. But
my point is you can't tell me that right now. If we're looking at everything, if you had to pick one team out of the Big Ten to go to the national championship or go to the playoff, would it be Michigan or would it be Ohio State?
Ohio State.
Right. Mm-hmm. Just based on history. Why do you think I picked Alabama and Georgia to win the SEC?
History.
Correct. It's the same thing.
And that's the way polls are based. You wait at least the AP and the USA Today coaches polls are bound to be coming out in the next day or two, I would think. Right. And you look who it's going to be. It's going to be based on last year in history. You know, you're going to have Alabama at the top. You're going to have Clemson and FSU.
You know, also be up there that doesn't belong.
Who's that?
USC. They'll be up there.
They'll be up there
for absolutely no reason at all. They'll be up there. They have a coach whose name I can't even remember right now, and they'll be in the top
Auburn
10.
Guy, oddly enough, Mike Helton.
Helton, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be in the top 10 for no other reason than history.
I don't think they'll make the top 10.
All right, 15.
Yeah.
Because they're USC and they're coming back. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's literally the only reason why they'll be up there. No reason at all.
Yeah, that's.
Cool. I don't get the. And look, here's the thing. I don't hate Michigan. I don't like Michigan. I don't hate Ohio State. I don't like Ohio State. Again, I live here. I deal with these people every day, right? Like I talk to Ohio State people and I say, hey, she's really cute, right? My friends, they go, yeah, but she's a Michigan fan. I go, yeah, but guess what? Like when you take her clothes off, it does not matter, right? Because we're not sleeping with her for the rest of your life because she is an Ohio State or a Michigan fan. You are sleeping with her because you love her and she's great in bed. Like that's all that other stuff is extra.
You make a point. I married an Alabama fan. She converted in our third year of marriage without.
She converted to what? Catholicism or like what? A different kind of religion? What?
We came home from school and she 1980 and Doug Barfield's last year, and we had season tickets and about the Georgia game. She got caught up in the excitement, even though we didn't beat Herschel that year. We were ahead at one point, and everybody was frenzied. She got caught up in it all, and she'd been going to all games all year. And she said, "I want to be an Auburn fan." And I said, "Well, come on, you are very much welcome, my dear." And now, woo,
exactly.
That woman is an Auburn fan. Those converts are the worst, I tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
But she was nominal. I mean, her family was Alabama. She wasn't rah-rah. And this was 1980. It's not the fever pitch it is today, and it wasn't a big deal to her at all. You know, she just enjoyed going to Auburn and going with me and enjoyed the people in the football. So she started pulling for them, and then she became rabid. But she was Alabama when I married her. Now she's going to shoot me for saying that on the air.
Oh, we're putting this front and center. Oh, it's front and center. Oh yeah. I hope she's ready. I hope she's ready. So how is she, I mean, obviously she is very much an Auburn fan. And like you said, her family's Alabama, which, right, of course.
She was born into it.
Correct.
She had 2 uncles that graduated from there.
When she, do you guys watch the Iron Bowl with her family ever? Like, how was that interaction like during that week?
We have, and back years ago, it's pleasant, but you can't express your true feelings sometimes. But no, we have, they have come. Her family has come and gone with us, and we've given them tickets to the Iron Bowl.
Okay. And how are they at Jordan Hare? Her family. Great. They do very well. Do they wear their stuff?
That was back during the Tuberville years when Auburn had a 6-game winning streak going, and so they were kind and polite, and they took their whipping nicely, and we do the same. When we get up with them, when Alabama wins, which they've done a lot of recently, we're cordial about it, but I can't cuss and fuss like I would in my own living room by myself.
Dude, so when they went to Jordan Hare, did they wear their Alabama stuff?
Yeah. Sat right there with us in the Auburn section too.
They get a bunch of crap. I mean, obviously Auburn was winning, but
Auburn's nice people, and Auburn tends to be, I think, one of the most hospitable. Them and Texas A&M are the 2 most hospitable fan bases I've ever been around. Yeah.
Now let's talk about when you go to Alabama and you wear your Auburn stuff. Are they hospitable?
The last time they weren't so much. In 2008 was the last time I went. Now it was kind of scary. They broke the win streak that year. They beat us 36-0. And they broke the 6-game win streak, and they were mad, and I felt threatened. Yeah, and I didn't go back. Unless I go with my homies, my big guys from down in my hometown.
Crew.
I don't go to Baton Rouge or Tuscaloosa without my guys. No.
Baton Rouge is such a great environment, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And I hadn't been there since 2003, even later, before Tuscaloosa.
I think you should go next time they play. I think you should find a way to go to.
Well, I can get my crew up, my former high school and college mates up and make that trip. We made the Starkville trip 2 years ago, and we're due to make another trip this year, maybe Athens or something. But, that's a great play. Great, you can't beat the environment in Baton Rouge. It's just, you simply can't.
Okay, I want to rewind 1 second here.
All right.
Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. We touched on this for a second. Kevin Sumlin and all the nonsense that's going on down there. We're gonna start here. We're gonna end at Baylor. So we're just gonna go right up the street to Waco. So just get ready. And this has nothing to do with all the nonsense that just happened with the women's camp. I mean, that's a big deal, but I don't really know all the details, so I'm not going to comment on it. But you said earlier that you think his days are numbered. You wrote that today.
Mm-hmm.
What are the expectations for people in Texas A&M way too high? One, and if not Sumlin, then who?
Then who? It's not going to be Art Briles, is it?
I mean, that would be crazy. There's no way.
That's insane.
Okay, there is no way of all the schools. That I would think that would never touch Texas A&M. Like there's like three that I would think would never touch them: Army, Navy, Texas A&M, and they all have the same combined culture. I think a lot of it.
Yeah, military.
Correct. So it can't be Brian. I mean, it would not be Brian.
No, it wouldn't. That's just funny. But
I mean, it's a funny thought. How about he was at the Cleveland Browns practice the other day? I don't know. If you saw
he was
that.
at pro. I didn't pay attention to where it was, but I remember.
Yeah, I think there's like 4 or 5 players: Robert Griffin, Josh Gordon, maybe 2 defensive linemen or whatever that are on the Browns. I don't know. I don't watch the Browns, but I know he was here and there were pictures and he took like a picture with them all, and it was pretty interesting to see that he was here. But back to A&M. Yeah. Are the expectations of people there way too high because of what happened with Mr. Manziel, or are those people always been crazy?
I don't think they're too high. I mean, it's Texas, and they do expect a lot. But they from visiting out there and talking to their fans. I spent some time in Houston, and we went out there in 2013, and they're pretty down to earth, pretty level-headed fan base from the people I talked to, and they understand. As a matter of fact, before the whole Manziel thing, now when I was working 2 weeks in Houston back in 2012, I'd see A&M hats at a bar, and we'd talk, and they said, "Yeah, we know." I'd say, "Welcome to the SEC," and said, "Yeah, we're proud to be here, and I know it's going to be a learning curve, and it's going to take some time." But of course, that was before they even knew who Johnny Manziel was. But I don't think their expectations are necessarily high. It's just that I think they're going to have a really bad year on the field, like 5-7. And then the thing with Sumlin, I think he's lost. It appears he's lost control of the program, talking out of both sides of his mouth to recruits, telling everybody they're going to start, and and then the assistant coach that tweeted when one of the guys transferred about not being loyal, and the latest thing with the women's chalk talk, and it just appears that that Sumlin just doesn't have his hand on the throttle and is not able to control the program.
So who do you think has a chance there then?
Now, they got deep pockets, deep as anybody probably. That's they got all the resources in the world down there, so they could make a run at, I don't know right off the top of my head, but they could shoot for the moon, for no doubt about it. I'd have to get
okay. So here's my bold prediction on this.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Strong survives in Texas.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know. Tom Herman ends up at Texas A&M.
That now makes sense. That makes sense. It's at some point that he's going to be enticed out of Houston, and that may be after this season. Very well, may be. Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know who else it could be.
Well, he's already got that Houston locked up. I mean, that's in A&M's 75 minutes up the road, and he's already recruiting great guns at Houston, for God's sake. If he had A&M's resources, whoa, mercy. You reckon the good old boys out there already got something in the works on that?
Maybe.
There's always factions. Everybody's always got their guy,
Well, but so the dark horse in this is our transition to Baylor, is the AD who used to be at Houston, who hired Herman, is now the athletic director at Baylor.
Uh-huh.
And Grobe or whatever. Obviously, I would be surprised if he lasted beyond this year. I think he's doing a John L. Smith, this year and taking his $800,000 or actually $1.2 million, and he'll probably leave.
Yeah.
So I guess if I thought Herman was going to go anywhere, my guess is that Baylor would have the inside track. But I have to think that if Texas A&M opens up, they would basically back the dump truck up to Herman's house and say, "What? Like, do you want us to drive or do you want to fly there? Like, how do you want to get to College Station? Like, whatever you want is fine."
Yeah.
And I think the problem for Baylor is obviously the perception is bad about the whole university right now, and that's not going to change in the next 2 years. I mean, the perception is going to be there.
Yeah, they got a big problem.
They have a big problem, and I think Herman comes in. He's a young coach in the SEC with a bunch of other young coaches in the SEC. I mean, at that point, if Herman comes in, I mean, who are the oldest coaches in the SEC? Saban, and then everybody else feels like they're 20 years younger than him.
Yeah, Saban.
Feels like, I mean, Muschamp's up there, but everybody feels like they're younger than Saban, 20 years.
Oh yeah.
Other than Les Miles.
Yeah, Les is right up there in there. Well, Saban's right on the verge of 65. I think Les is what, late 50s.
Late 50s, yeah, he's got to be 50. But it feels like everybody else is 20 years younger.
Oh yeah,
than those guys.
Yeah, Gus is. I don't know what he is.
Gus has got to be 50.
He's around 50, but no more.
Right. And then
he's a young guy. Yeah.
But everybody else is young, right? I mean, except for maybe what's his name at Kentucky.
Kirby's young. Stoops, he's pretty young.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. He's good. I think Bob may be the oldest. I'm not sure.
Ohio guys, by the way, Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah.
With my boy Bo Pelini.
Oh, Bo's at Speak of the Devil. He's at Youngstown, right?
Oh yeah, Youngstown State. Probably spitting and swearing at people. He does.
He's good at that.
Him and Tressel.
Oh, that's
but okay. So let's talk about Baylor for 5 minutes because I think that's something that we have not talked about, you and I. So let's kind of get into this. Obviously, they have the whole thing with Bryles, and then Ken Starr, and then the athletic director, and then the lady in compliance, and then the chaplain, and all these other people who are, we'll call them bad actors of one degree or another.
They're pretty much
they're all
complicit
gone
in this whole thing. Yeah.
What's that?
They're pretty much complicit in the whole.
Everybody, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? What are the appropriate steps that need to happen here? Right. I mean, obviously they've cleaned house.
Yeah.
But a lot of people want more. Like a lot of people want the NCAA to come in and give them the death penalty. A lot of people want the Department of Education to come in and take all their scholarships away or all this other stuff. As a person from the South who's not right next door to it, but it's kind of in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
What do you think about all this?
Well, they've got to keep working on that image, but they've also, I don't know about NCAA. They could go like Penn State and they could do something with them, but that's not really. Does that really? I guess lack of institutional control would be the reason.
Yeah, but here's okay.
But they did that at Penn State too, when really it wasn't an NCAA issue.
Right, and then what happened? They ended up restoring all the stuff at Penn State.
And restoring it, yeah.
Right.
But so you would think they're going to have to at least spank their hand and say bad guys, and do something. But I don't know. I'm not hearing anything yet on whether that's about to come down.
You think Bryles gets another a job somewhere?
Yeah.
FBS?
Yeah. Maybe pro, but
No. Does he get another college job?
A college job.
FBS. Does he get another FBS college job? A head coach?
Probably so. You won't, and I don't want to brand him as a bad guy yet. I mean, I don't. But if he was that complicit, I mean, if he not just turned his head, but if he was in cover up, I mean, you just can't hire a guy like that. But there are people that okay, I'm fine, I was wrong, and I want to coach again, and people that want to win badly enough would hire him certainly.
All right, I'm going to throw some schools out there for you. I think, by the way, all these schools I'm going to name, I think are absolute possibilities.
I heard Auburn noise. Gus is going to be gone this year, and Bryles is coming to Auburn. I think that's insane.
That's no way.
That's not going to happen.
And first of all, it's not going to happen next year. But I'm going to give you some. I'm going to give you some places that I think that he could end up, and you can tell me how crazy I am.
Yeah.
Right. We'll start with one, and again, not next year, but in a few years.
Mm-hmm.
LSU.
No.
Okay. USC.
Gosh, they've had so much trouble with Kiffin and all that stuff. Possibly
offensive line.
Possibly, yeah.
Oregon.
Even more so possible in Southern Cal. His style of ball.
Penn State.
No.
Because of the past?
Yeah.
Right.
And Oregon would make sense, and they can. Briles can light up a scoreboard, no doubt about it.
Well, that's why I said USC, but Oregon also makes sense.
Uh-huh. And who knows? Maybe he'll lesser. Maybe he'll go to the MAC or somewhere and work his way back to an FBS.
I agree with that, 100%. I think that the best job in the MAC or the best coach in the MAC right now is PJ Fleck at Western Michigan. Best coach in the MAC, the young kid, and I think he is gone in 2 years. I think when Herman leaves Houston, that's where Fleck's going.
He'll go there. Okay.
I think that's a no-brainer. And I think that Briles could land there.
Very much.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Briles in the Mid-American Conference easily. But here's the thing, right? And he's obviously done more than somebody we just talked about. But it is very tough for me as a hiring athletic director, and more importantly, as a chancellor or a university president, to say, you want me to hire Art Briles when we decided we wanted nothing to do with Bo Pelini. You know what I mean? And again, Briles has done, quote unquote, done more than Pelini has, but you're going to tell me that Pelini's has worse optics than Briles has? No way. Worst that Pelini ever did was cuss and swear at kids, which everybody does anyway.
Most people do that.
Correct. I referee basketball. It literally happens on the floor every day. I see it every day. MF this, you this, every day. I see this.
Yeah.
Right. Happen, and football's 10 times worse.
Oh God, it gets heated out there. Yeah.
Right. So I guess my point is unless Pelini doesn't want to leave FCS, I can't imagine that a school's going to say, why would I take Briles when I could have Pelini and not have to deal with all the PR headache? Yeah.
Well, Briles is going to have to go through, a rehab program. He's going to have to rehabilitate his image.
Right. And
he could do that. From what he being a former high school coach out there around Texas, Arkansas, somewhere, he's a good friend of Gus too. And they talk a lot in the off season. And Gus spent some time out in Waco recently. Well, not recently, but and so he seems to be a good guy, but who made some just horrific mistakes. And I would like to think that they were mistakes and that they weren't of the cover up. Well, too bad. And the whole rules surrounding campuses, with females, we've seen it there, and we've seen it all around. And it's just a sticky wicket, and it's tough seas to navigate. But something needs to be done. Something needs to be cleaned up. Well, okay. Let's go back to the ACC, and you mentioned Clemson. I mentioned Florida State. Who do you think is going to win the ACC?
Clemson.
Okay, I'm going Florida State.
Yeah, give me Clemson. I mean, I think Florida State is very good. Who's our quarterback?
Florida State's quarterback. I can see him. I can't tell you his name. Yeah. We got their backup quarterback from a few years ago, who's been the junior college route. Our guy John Franklin III was a Florida State recruit, and he in practice for Florida State's practice for Auburn in the BCS National Championship game, Franklin played Nick Marshall. He played his role and did it very well. Evidently, he may be the fastest guy on our team right now. But Florida State, I can't think of the quarterback's name. I can certainly think of Clemson's Deshaun Watson. We're going to see him on September the 3rd. And if you want a prediction, already Auburn is going to upset Clemson.
Auburn is going to upset Clemson.
Mm-hmm. First game.
Okay, so I just talked to my friend about this a few days ago. He is a Clemson fan, which makes me a bit of a Clemson fan because he is. I disagree with you.
Well, that's easy to do.
Yeah, correct, right? And I think that if Clemson beats Auburn, they run the table.
They very well could.
I think Clemson's the best team in the country.
I think they got they lost 5 or 6 draft picks on defense. I don't know how deep they are. I think they're a little inexperienced in some more areas, and I think that'll catch up with them late season. That's my take. I chaperoned a summer youth camp this year, and they were in South Carolina, and Greensboro, North Carolina. But there were a lot of people there from South Carolina, a lot of Clemson people, and very good people. And I said, hey, we talked about the Auburn-Clemson game, and I said, hey, you guys take it easy on us. And they said, well, that's what we were going to say to you. I'll take it easy. I mean, I think there's a mutual respect, and I think if you look at Clemson's scores last year, they really got by the skin of their teeth, particularly with Notre Dame and some lesser teams. And I think Auburn's defense is going to be the strength of their team this year, and that they'll hold Clemson to enough points to outscore them, something like 30-28 or something in that area. They're Auburn's geared for this game, and of course Clemson is too. It's gonna be a barn burner.
Okay. One thing, I was completely wrong. Gerald Ford is the only president from the University of Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought there were multiple.
Well, the University of Virginia would probably be the big producer of more presidents than anybody.
Harvard, man.
Well, Harvard, for God's sake.
John Adams, John Quincy Adams, Roosevelt, both of them, and JFK.
Harvard.
And then after that is William and Mary.
Bill and Mary.
Yeah. George Washington, Jefferson, Monroe, and Tyler.
Okay.
So, and then Princeton, Kennedy, Madison, Wilson, and then Yale, Taft, and both Bushes. So, and that's undergrad. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because Columbia's got 2 in law, and then Yale's got 2 in law. So,
we don't have any SEC presidents, do we?
No. Oh my God, are you crazy? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, you got one from North Carolina. That's about as close as you'll get.
Okay.
Texas State University, the beautiful Lyndon Baines Johnson.
LBJ, great movie on HBO, adapted from the play that Bryan Cranston did, playing LBJ all the way, and it was a really, really good movie. I recommend everybody watch it.
Can you imagine if we had an SEC president? Like literally, I think that Saturday would become like a national holiday.
Oh yeah,
like in the fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, maybe it ought to be.
I believe it should be.
Football, it's a big deal, and we are upon it, my friend.
Couple weeks, right? Like 23 days or something like that.
The first game is August is down under in Sydney, Australia. Yeah. I mentioned that in the blog too. And between I got to remember who's playing in the darn thing. It escapes me completely right now, and I wrote it yesterday. So
it is Cal in Hawaii.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, the Rainbow Warriors and the Golden Bears.
And Cal, who's my Pac-12 team.
Thank you. Yeah,
I like Cal.
I got a history at Cal, and I lived in the Bay Area. Did a little work at Berkeley and at San Quentin, and went to see Cal and Stanford play the big game the one year we were there. And Cal, a 1-9 Cal team, upset a 9-1 or 8-2 Stanford team.
Good.
Cap, if you remember him.
Good. All right. So next time we're on.
I like Cal, and Auburn's got a home and home with Cal coming up in 2019 and 2020.
Okay, next time we're on, I'm going to continue to take you out of your comfort zone. We're going to talk about things that are not the SEC. So get ready.
All right. Sounds good.
Get back. So tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Autull, AUTULL, on my WordPress domain, birdlacroix.com, and of course right here at Campus Pressbox.
Okay, just a few housekeeping notes. Obviously, you can find me on Twitter at Damien Bowman, DAMIEN BOWMAN. Sometimes you can find me on Campus Pressbox. It kind of depends on when they let me write. But more importantly, I want to talk about Campus Pressbox Insiders. It's our new membership program. It is $3 a month, and you get early access to podcasts, you get to comment on articles, you get an enhanced newsletter, and a bunch of other stuff that we are going to roll out over the next few weeks. So campuspressbox.com/insiders is where that is. $3 a month, or actually if you sign up before the end of August, it is $2 a month for life as long as you continue to renew. So it's something that we're trying. That I think
an excellent deal and great content on our site, folks. Too.
I mean, it's a really good deal. I mean, it's like we're talking about $24 a year here, basically. Yeah. So sign up for that. If you have questions, you can email me directly, or you can get in touch with Bird. He's I just appointed him as the ambassador. Like, he doesn't know that, but I just appointed him as the ambassador. So
I'll be ambassador. Yeah.
Ambassador Bird. So no, you don't get like a Secret Service detail or anything. I hate to break it to you.
You put me in there with Steve Spurrier. He's the ambassador and consultant now at Florida. So Spurrier and I will beat the bushes, him for Florida and me for Campus Pressbox.
There you go. Okay, that's it, folks. Mitch and I will be back next week, and then in the interim, Seth and Bird will be back with the SEC 401. Are you guys next week or the week after? I can't remember.
Seems like we're next week.
Okay, so Seth will finally be back from vacation because I feel like he has been on vacation the entire month of July. And the first
seems like it. He's there. Where is he? In the hinterlands of Minnesota.
It's something crazy. Like he can't even text. Can't do anything. So
he's way up there.
He is up there. Well, here's the other problem. He has T-Mobile.
No AT&T, Verizon.
Right. So if he had a real carrier, his phone would work. Exactly. He's like, oh, yeah, my wife's Verizon. It works up there. I'm like, maybe you should switch to Verizon.
There you go.
Right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear?
Okay.
That's great.
All right. That's it, folks. Say goodbye, Bird.
Goodbye, Bird. Take care.